Joining her on stage is Pushkar Kumar, CHRP, Cairn, ONG. Assets, kindly keep the applause going as Pushkar joins us on stage. We also have with us Dr. Nirav Mandir, Chief Human Capital and Sustainability Officer, Sri Ramakrishna Exports. And this session will be moderated by Swagat is Irsale, VP Growth India, Phenom People. So can we have a louder, more energetic, more warm round of applause? Thank you very much for joining us for this session. And I now hand over the session to session moderator for further proceedings.
Can you all hear me? Yeah. Sure. Thank you, People Matters. It's amazing to be here. Maybe the last time I was in Delhi was probably very long back, 30 years or so, for a President's Awards function. But after that, now it is coming here is amazing. So thank you. It's all really well. So let's start with the topic. I was told that there has to be some sort of AI connection to the conference, and I have a lot of friends who are, I think, more than experts than me. So we'll slowly go to the actual topic. But let's look at the topic itself, right? Which is resumes to robots. So resumes is, I think, maybe 30, 40 years back we used to write resumes, right? Anyone still write resumes? No, we don't write resumes. Okay, we still used to write resumes. We had to fold that paper, put it into an envelope, write some address, and send to an organization. And what do? We actually pray. We pray that it reaches to the HR department. I think that's the reality of it. But I think maybe 30, 40 years from that moment, a lot of changes in technology, advances in technology, right? Obviously, we can take a lot of things. I think maybe computers, hardwares in those. I think then 4G is there. I think web technologies, everything around it. I think has enabled us to kill that 6 to 8 hours of time to reaching someone to probably 5 minutes. 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, you can apply for a job now. Yes, less than 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes, I think that's it. So let's slowly get. So that's, I think, the value of technology. We will never say that software will eat the world, but definitely software will become the world. And we have seen with recent, I think, challenges which we have. So let's start. I think, but let's introduce. I think we said we'll introduce ourselves. I think there was, so we can please.
We have to help ourselves, right? Myself, Dr. Nirav, I lead the Global Human Capital and Sustainability portfolio for a company which is into the James and Jewelry sector and been in the industry for more than 2 decades now.
Hello. Hi, I'm Shuchita. I head the talent acquisition function for GlobalLogic, a Hitachi company. I, with my friends, will try to match up to the euphoria that you had last time in the President's Award. We don't promise that, but we'll try. Good being here.
It was. Whatever. My hair was black at least at that time. So.
I'm Pushkar. I head HR. I'm the CHRO for Cairn Oil and Gas. It's the largest private sector oil company. So pleasure to be over here.
Sure. I appreciate it. And myself, Swagat. I work for Phenom. Our purpose is to help 1 billion people find the right work. So let's start. I think, let's say AI revolution. Maybe I will start with you, Shuchita. What do you think currently exists? And then eventually, what do you believe that will happen in maybe next 10 years or so? I think looking at maybe talent management as well as both the talent acquisition side of it.
Well, I don't think we are talking about 10 years anymore. I think where we all are, of course, preparing for the next 5 quarters and so, and the world's changing very fast, as all of us have been made very resilient with what has happened around us. So I think what has happened today from the story that you narrated of writing resumes to sending it with a pigeon or in a letterbox, it's changed quite a lot. And what is going to change, definitely, you never know, probably there'll be video resumes. There won't be any resumes, or people will not look at resumes at all. So the 10 years down the line is difficult to say, but today I think what we have seen is in the last 2-3 years, how technology, AI has changed the whole recruiting experience for candidates, for talent, for stakeholders is exceptional. And we are looking forward to those 10 years, how it is going to change and what is going to change. We look forward to that.
Sure, sure. You feel is it some sort of change which is entirely disruptive? And I think we'll all speak to panelists, but or is it an incremental change? I mean, think about it in such a way. We are moving from, let's say, diesel-powered cars to battery cars. So I think most of the aspects of the car are same. It's just the engine is different, but it is benefiting the consumer. It is also benefiting the environment. So will AI be entirely disruptive, or we will adopt AI and then will be a lot more efficient?
I'll attempt that, and then you can. So this is like preaching to the choir. I think a lot of people here are going through it every day. They definitely know that it did hit all of us like a storm. And it was absolutely, people were preparing for it, people were getting ready for it, but a lot of things that happened in the past, and we all had to go through it. It did hit all of us like a storm. But I think gradually, we are all preparing for it. Adoption has become easier, and we are seeing what help it is giving to us in the talent space, which is making it easier. So it is quite a journey. But it did hit everybody. Everybody was expecting it'll take its own time. Yeah. It'll seep into the system in some way. But it just did all happen because of whatever happened contextually to us in the world as well.
Right. Pushkar, would you please comment on the same question?
So I think a lot has already happened, and what has happened is basically in terms of screening your resumes, getting to know your candidates better, scheduling your interviews. So it's more on the process efficiency part where the focus is right now. What I think going forward will be more important for us is to take a very, very systemic approach. Like, for example, if you're hiring because of the fact that either there is a new position, the point goes back to what Raj was mentioning about the organizational structure, or somebody has left the organization. Mm-hmm. So how do you link it back to your organizational structure? How do you link it back to people who are not happy with you, and they are probably, for some reason or the other, they're getting a better offer, they're leaving your organization. So how do you predict attrition, and how do you have a system which tells you every morning that, hey, this particular position is going to be open in so many number of days? And that's where actually the magic of artificial intelligence will start to begin. Some organizations may have done it. I'm not too sure about which organizations they are, but given the way artificial intelligence is coming up and the way I read about it, it is very much evident. Some organizations are thinking systemic. They link it back to the organization structure. They link it back to the opportunities that people have. They link it back to their careers, their satisfaction levels. And they predict from that as to what next they have to do. So what really is happening is that it gives you a lot of time to plan for the right candidate also, right? And then when you start planning for it, you have certain process efficiencies that have already come across. But what really happens is that the quality of hire also is going to get impacted. Yeah. Right now, the quality of hire, one of the matrices that you measure is that how many people are there who quit the organization within 6 months of maybe making an offer, right? So when you have a powerful tool like AI, what you can do actually is that you can get to the right catchment area. Mm-hmm. You can get candidates who are a perfect fit for your organization, both in terms of technical, behavioral, leadership capabilities. And you can also plan their induction and onboarding in a way that the entire experience is absolutely brilliant for them, and the quality of hire as a matrix speaks volumes for itself. So that's actually a transformative journey over the next couple of years that I would probably be more interested in, right? And as I said, it's right now mostly the process efficiencies which have happened, and it's a big move, move that has been enabled by artificial intelligence tools. But the systemic approach, the entire end-to-end approach, its connection back to organizational structure, to the talent management system, to your career progression, everything together. And I think AI has a lot of data, volumes of data which are available in organizations. They can tie it up end to end, and as HR, we can leverage a lot of that to make a great experience as far as hiring is supposed to be concerned, both from an organizational benefit and employee experience point of view.
Right, right. This is amazing. I think so. The way you are suggesting is for both talent acquisition and talent management, there will be various touch points, and all those touch points AI can be beneficial, and that's where the actual efficiency will come in picture.
Because my approach right now is reactive. Anybody who's putting in a paper, then I'm going. I'm looking forward to a situation where there is a platform which is telling me 3 months, 4 months in advance that this is supposed to be a red flag. So what will happen is that I may not necessarily end up hiring a person. I would rather, invest my energies in terms of retaining that particular person. So there are endless possibilities that goes beyond the realm of, just hiring. So a lot can be done beyond hiring if,
Sure.
it in right perspective and
Yeah.
have a more holistic approach to it.
Yeah, and I think your end-to-end word summarizes everything, because that's how it is. Sure. Thank you. So Dr. Neerav, now question for you. Maybe we'll go to recruiter. I think a lot of audience in here would like to know there is a buzz around that what will happen. I mean, HRBP as a role. A lot of automation is also happening on scheduling calls, conversations of candidates. There was, I think, a recent graph shown millennials do not want to speak on phone. I think that's what which was shown. So I think if they don't want to speak on phone, then whom we call will call be even relevant. So the question is how this AI aspect will change the role of recruiter itself, or will it change? Is I think, and then obviously the future question about it would be what should recruiters do? Because is it just skills that we need to acquire, or what else will be needed?
So Swagat, first of all, thank you for asking the different question. I was wondering, where do we have scholarly speakers like Shuchita and Pushkar? I was wondering if you asked the same question, what I would say. So first, thanks for saving my soul.
Sure.
Answering to your question specifically, you have to look this thing from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. When we are talking about the intervention of AI in the recruitment and talent acquisition, we have to compare the India and Bharat. The reason why I'm saying is, out of 1.5 million registered companies in India under Companies Act, only 7,000 belongs to the large corporates and the listed companies. The rest of the companies belongs to the MSME sector, which is almost carrying the 85% of the representation in the company.
Right.
So when we are talking about the intervention of AI, especially in the context of the large corporates, because they possess or they afford to possess that technology. But what about the MSME part? So we have to see the difference of both sectors in one go. Having said that, we can't avoid what is happening around the geopolitical scenario, the disruption in the technology is going on. So the organization first need to assess their own need, whether they should be requiring the intervention from the technology at the enhanced level, or they are fine doing their monotonous work because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
So it's mainly applicable for the large corporates when they do have the budget to invest in the AI, generative AI, you name any jargon. But it's always helpful because with the intervention, the recruiters will be able to focus more on the employee experience part, or the candidate experience part rather. They'll be able to create that unique USP on behalf of the organization, that how a candidate experience would look like. Also, it will help in the decision-making process, because as a human being, some of the bias are inbuilt. It's wired in our brain, depends on our upbringing and the culture. So with such metrics in place, we'll be able to robust our decision making while doing the intervention and recruiting the talent within the organization. Also, it is quite helpful in retaining the talent. It gives a really a clear picture what the person is actually worth for. Because we keep on saying that there's a huge gap between, and if you ask any HR practitioner, we all are HR practitioners, they'll keep on complaining that we don't get a desired talent. And if you ask to any academia person, especially the dean or director of any education institute, they are always complaining that their students are not getting the desired job. So where is the gap? The gap lies in the ecosystem. The gap lies in the skill gap, which is like quite pertinent since many decades. So with the intervention of AI, we'll be able to reduce that gap and we'll be able to minimize that. And ultimately, it would be there in the mutual interest for the academia and corporates. That's my take on that. Thank you.
Sure, makes sense.
I would just like to add
Yeah,
on
please,
that
please,
one
please.
because it's as a talent acquisition person myself, it is a very important aspect. Just a quick joke. So there is this recruiter who asks the candidate, "What is your biggest weakness?" And the candidate says, "My weakness is that I am unable to differentiate between reality and what is not real." And the recruiter asks, "Okay, and what is your strength?" And the candidate says, "I'm Batman." So now is the judgment, right? Which brings me to the point that what would be needed from recruiters of tomorrow is the 20% judgment that will be critical to get the best out of what you're seeing in terms of talent outside. 80% of what is mundane or monotonous or can be done by AI or other tools should be done by that. But what is very relevant in terms of making judgments, which is very, very critical in HR or recruiting, which needs human intelligence, I think that is the skill that recruiters will have to build in themselves.
Sure, makes sense. I think what you're suggesting is it would be some sort of movement from Test cricket to T20, I think, or similar. So the game will remain same, but you still have to change a lot of rules. Yes.
Technique will change.
Yeah. Sure, thank you. And I think last question for all three of you. We can start. I think there is a lot of futuristic conversation regarding skill-first organizations. I think eventually we are talking skill mapping, talent mapping, and then maybe career pathing on top of it, succession planning. And I mean, we have all sold on it that there is ROI on it, because instead of going out, we don't know what skills, our team members have, so we can fill those roles internally. But how do we do this? I mean, is it even on CEOs' radar? How should we start with AI in specifically talent management? Anyone can start.
Tough question, but I'll try to attempt. So when you mentioned about the ROI, so in lieu of the ROI, when the corporates are expecting the ROI from the talent, at the same time, if you see the other paradox, the talent is also expecting the ROE, which is the return on experience while working in a respective organization. So until and unless first organization, if they don't create that unique experience, what they can cater to their candidates and employees, I'm not sure how they will expect the ROI from the employees. And you mentioned about the board's agenda, being the board member at my own organization. Gone are the days where we literally have to fight about getting the HR agenda at the board meetings. It is the agenda as of now. So there is a paradox and there is a 180-degree shift in the ecosystem of the board as far as the agenda building is concerned. So that's my take on that.
Sure, please.
Well, I'll let you take it first.
But what was the question?
How should we start with AI in talent management? I think because a lot of times we are okay in talent acquisition, but when it comes to talent management, I think there will be navigation, there will be conversations. We have a lot of things sitting in our Excel sheets. I mean, are we even ready for AI? Is the question. How should we start?
Well, it's always a matter of intent.
Yeah.
And as HR folks, we have to lead that in any organization. So you want to start on a journey, start. You have to have your bike in place, your vehicle. You
Yeah.
have to have your driver. You have to have your traffic manager.
Yeah.
So when we started off, and it was a bigger project than just about AI, it was a bigger transformation. So what we did was that we made a project plan, and we had project managers for all the modules and the sub-modules. And it was rigorously, followed through and supported by the CHRO, by the CCO, by the CFO, and there were regular reviews. So that's how you do it. You have to create a project. You have to make, very empowered project managers. You got to review it all the time. And you have to give it the highest priority and importance by having the leadership rally around it.
Right.
So that's simple, very, very tactical way of doing it. But then if you bring in strategic element around it, then the entire issue about, change of mindsets, changing mental models, making sure that you have the right kind of champions, you have the right kind of incentives and disincentives to promote the right behavior.
That is very interesting, yes.
Right? And in the process, you are learning from your failures, so you reward your failures, you celebrate your achievements. So the entire, list of things that we need to do as change agents, that has to be reinforced. But the most important thing is that you have to have a project. And you have to have a linkage to the larger organizational cause. And all organizations are there to make bigger revenues, higher profits, lower cost. So when you're talking about automation, artificial intelligence, it's going to cut down your cycle time. It's going to bring down your cost. It's going to improve your employee satisfaction and performance levels. And ultimately productivity will, give that ROI that you're looking forward to. But the important thing is project, empowered project managers, support from leadership, and the entire list of things that you do for any kind of change management.
Sure, makes sense.
I think what I will say to that is to just end it is
Yes, please.
To make sure that it is successful. And because as HR professionals, we owe it to the employee. Before putting any of the AI or technology, we'll have to keep employee at the center of it.
Yeah.
Ensuring that experience of where they want to go, what career means to them, how do they want to transparently see it, and what will help them in organizing it to make it fulfilling as an experience, what Neerav said. I think that will help you put the right sort of project, AI and technology around it. So we will owe it to all of ourselves and to the employee to keep them in the center before we put anything around it. And then all the other transactions around will, of course, be needed to be successful.
Sure. Do we have time for audience questions? One question we can take?
We can take it offline. We're running behind schedule.
Okay, we are running out of time. Sure, thank you. I appreciate your time. Thanks everyone for listening.
Please give it up for the distinguished panel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for a detailed and engaging session. Please come together for a group photograph.